Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Rich Nonprofit. Today I am with Gabs Hayes. Hi, Gabs.
Hello, hello.
Yay! So it's been a minute since we've been able to catch up, and we're going live, and we just want to talk about what's going on with your nonprofit because I know you have some great stuff to tell us.
I do. And I think for those of you who have listened to this kind of series, I was like, what's that word? This series around launching a nonprofit and launching a nonprofit with Lisa's support. And for me, it's my nonprofit's overwhelmed and over it. And what are we doing? One thing we really talked about is that we want to be honest with you around the pivots. And even with having strategy sessions, even with having the greatest plans put down, doesn't mean that we aren't going to have pivots and we aren't going to have things change. And so I have not even shared these all with Lisa, which is why we just decided to hit record and go. Because I think based on the plan that Lisa and I put together, I'm at a very critical inflection point for launching the nonprofit. And I say that for a couple of reasons. When we left our strategy planning session in January, we had a game plan to build a community on Reddit. That has changed, and I'll update you about that in a second. We had a plan to launch our first event in April to celebrate my son's birthday, who passed away. It was the entire reason we are creating this nonprofit. That has changed, and I'll tell you about it. And then normally when you ask me where can people find out more about us or find out more about what's going on, is I point them to the Overwhelmed and Over It podcast, and its last episode is getting ready to be aired.
Okay. So I want to hear about all of this. And I also want to normalize the pivot because it happens with every business, every client that I have. It happens in my own, and especially with nonprofits, as you really start digging into what your community needs and how you want to serve them, there are pivots. So it's okay. But yes, tell us everything, Gabs.
Yeah, so I think it helps to give the why first, and then I can share all of the details. But we've talked about on this series, I've owned several other small businesses, and the pivot doesn't scare me. I'm not afraid of that. But I also can look back on my former business ventures and see a pattern where I want to run faster than is normal for the average human being, especially someone who has a full-time job, 3 kids, a partner, and all of these things. And so it started with I absolutely want to do something with the Overwhelmed and Overt community to celebrate Gabriel's birthday, but it doesn't have to be in person to do that. And I had to take a step back and say, can I still make this in-person event happen? 1%. But would I be stressed? Would it add chaos to my life? Would it make it difficult? Yes, it absolutely would in this season of life that I'm in, because we need to travel for it, because I need to coordinate so many things. And it forced me to sit back and say, what's the real reason this nonprofit exists? It's to help people parent differently, to stop feeling so freaking stressed out and chaotic about the process. And so while my heart is in it to create these spaces for families to just show up and enjoy, it can't be at the cost of my enjoyment, my stress, and my family.
Yes. Isn't that such a thing that we women, we will give grace to everyone else? We will take care of everyone else and then we forget about ourselves. So good on you. I want to hear more about this. Bring it
Yeah.
because I think we need to hear it a million times. And then again, especially as nurturers, caretakers, business owners, everything.
Yeah. So in a way, it's been really nice because what was coming next after the event in April was launching our family boxes, where we send activities to your home to be able to connect at the dinner table with the moments you guys already have. And the supplies just show up. So there's no barrier to having a night where you guys are laughing together again, to have a night where you guys are joking together again or listening to music together. And so I already have that vendor identified. She's ready. She's ready to get everything going. And so it gave me this permission to say, I'm still following this plan that Lisa and I laid out. I went ahead and started preparing for May and what that needed. And what has happened on the backside of that is it's giving me the safe space to pivot the April event to make it an at-home event. So
Okay.
we are still going to have a big party for Gabriel's birthday. We're still going to all celebrate together, but it's going to come to you instead of you having to come to us or me having to come to other people. And so my girls are involved. We recently took our girls to their first ever music festival. It was life-changing for them. They said it was a bucket list item, and you could see this pure joy on their face that I haven't seen. I mean, my kids are very happy children, but we know what it's like to be in a space where you just let it all go. And they got to experience that. They got to see that. And so we're working on a family playlist that we can share with you so you can have dance party at home. And we would love to just mail all these glow in the dark things and stuff that help you celebrate and have your own dance party and just shake it out and like let the stress go. And then that's going to be how we celebrate his birthday. So I feel really good about that. And if I mail it to 5 people or if I mail it to 500, I'm okay with whatever the outcome is. It is step one in a very long journey. And that has been the biggest learning lesson in the first 3 months of the year for me is that yes, this nonprofit is launching, but it's not launching with my foot on the gas pedal all the way down because I don't want to do that again. And I'm not willing to do it again.
Yes. Everyone is taking a,
Hmm.
because it's a beautiful thing that you're saying, no, it's too much. And this isn't how I'm going to keep going because our patterns do come up. Mine just came up yesterday and my mentor said, I see it. Don't do it. Oof. So when you recognize it, you choose. Am I going to stay in this pattern because that's what I already planned? Or am I going to do what's best for myself, my family, my community? And hello, who doesn't want a dance party?
Yeah. So we're extremely excited about that. And we're starting to work on the items that will get mailed and the crafts that will go with it. And so if anyone is like, I'm down for having a dance party and celebrating Gabriel's birthday with us, it's still going to be on Saturday, April 25th. And you can go to overwhelmed.family and just get signed up and we'll make sure we get that mailed out to you. So that is biggest pivot, I think, of everything. But then I wanted to take a step back and talk about the Reddit situation, specifically because when we were in person together and we were planning this out, I gave you 9,000 reasons Reddit was the right place for me to go.
Yep, you did. Which made me feel like, why am I not on Reddit? You were very convincing. And for those who don't know Reddit, can you just give a quick little?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Reddit is like a where you go in and you kind of find these communities of people that you resonate with or have, similar thoughts or ideas. So there's communities for finance and for people who are lawyers and people who are parents, and there's one called Momit, and then there's a Reddit called Daddit, and it's in many ways a very beautiful space because you're not publicly identified. You're not like it doesn't have your picture, it doesn't have your name. And so you find, at least personally, I find that people tend to be more honest there or tend to be more vulnerable because there is literally a mask that allows them to do so. And so in my mind, I thought, well, there's going to be people in our community who are parenting differently, but have never been approved to do so by their family, by their friends, by exposure that they've had in their life. And maybe the greatest thing for them is giving them a place where they can kind of anonymously learn and do differently. And I still wholeheartedly believe that. And so, what I have been doing in the last 3 months, and even prior to leading up to Lisa and I meeting for the strategy session, is really wrapping my arms around Reddit and learning it and using it myself and trying to figure out how you do it. And what I realized was I don't believe a Reddit community should be built by a person because the way Reddit functions is we all kind of like in the certain communities you go in, you'll see there's cultural norms in those communities that are created by the communities themselves. So you'll see like the Momit community uses emojis, but the lawyer community doesn't. Or the Dadit community only talks about like managing finances and balancing being a father. Whereas the Momit community is like, this mom walked up to me and told me something's wrong with my kid, and I don't know what to do with that. And so you can see some of these like cultural norms. And I'll just be honest, the overwhelmed and over it community is not large enough yet to have its own cultural norms. And it's not on me to force that. So I still have the community. I'm still going to hold on to that, but I am not going to pour my energy into building it from the ground up right now because I don't think that that's the right place to spend my time and my energy. Instead, and you and I did talk about this part, I have an entire community on LinkedIn. I have an entire brand, and I speak very openly and vulnerably about parenthood in the LinkedIn community. And so I already have that. There's no need for me to try right now in this stage of launching the nonprofit to go rebuild that somewhere else because it just makes that uphill climb so much harder. And then one of the things that is not necessarily a change, but I wanted to share with you that I thought you'd be super excited about is Dom is all in. And I know you've shared about his reaction when I came home from the strategy session and how all in he was. So we have a fundraiser for Cars and Coffee as something we love to do, and we want that to be our annual fundraiser. He has already, it's in November. He has already gotten invites out. He has already gotten cars signed up. We've already gotten our first donations. And every day, I swear to you, he calls me from work and he's like, oh, I just invited someone else to Cars and Coffee in November. Okay, I guess I better spend my planning time on that. So that was like another thing that I was like, should I rush to make the April in-person event happen because it was important to me? Or should I pour all of that energy into this event that already has traction naturally?
And that your husband's excited about.
Yes, he's excited about. And I think I've always shared my husband's been so supportive of every business idea I've had, of every pivot I've wanted to make. He's there for me, but he never understood it. He could never get behind it because career wise, he's a blue collar worker, I'm a professional employee, and like career wise, we're so far apart that whenever I would talk about business stuff, he couldn't get there with me. But this is something he understands. He's navigating parenting differently in this world with me. We're doing this together. And so it feels that way. It even feels like overwhelmed and over it is being done together. And I just think, what greater gift can I ask for that I have a partner in this? And that means our impact naturally doubles because there's two of us working on this together instead of one.
Yes. Woo! And your kids see it and they want to be involved. So your ripple effect is crazy huge already. You're already making such a difference. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I just dumped a lot on you, and we didn't even get to the podcast yet, but we can get there.
Hey, no, that's okay. I want to back up a little because I want to acknowledge that you recognized cultural norms in Reddit, and I don't know that a lot of people would. I think people join groups because they feel safe, which is wonderful. You want people to feel safe, seen, but maybe a little too safe in that we're all moving together and you're not exploring other options and other cultures. And, I'm trying to keep this like PC, but I love that you recognize that. And I wonder why it is that you did.
I think it's just part of the healing journey I have been on, since losing my son. It's going to be 8 years in April. And that's a lot of time that I have had to unpack patterns, behaviors, things that were unintentionally put on me just because of how I was raised or whatever. And so I think time is probably the biggest answer there. And I know that's not what people want. People want, like, what's the thing I can go do right now and I can change? For me, it's been time, and it's been being willing to be aware of my own shit. And so it's interesting right now. We had an accident that has created some trauma situations in our home. And so I am back in therapy to navigate that on my side. And I'm working with a therapist that I worked with 3 years ago. And she has us do an intake form anytime you start, a package with her, start sessions with her. And unbeknownst to me, she went back to my old intake form from 2023 and my intake form from 2026, and she compared them. And she said, the woman who filled out the form in 2026 is not the woman who filled out the form in 2023. She was like, and it's not just the problems that you're here for are different, but she's like, you can see it in the way that you write. You can feel this lightness about the way you talk about the problem. Like, it's a problem and I'm ready to move through it and I want to deal with it, versus it's a problem and I'm stuck and I just want everyone to feel sorry that I have this problem. But even in our sessions, she's like, it's very common, right, in therapy to get homework. And she'll give me these big homework assignments, and then I have to report back on them the next week. And I tell her all the time, it's not the homework. It's like a sentence that she will say to me in a session. It's a reframe. And then I hear that and I play that over and over because I want to address it. I want to deal with it. And by the time I come back next week, I'm like, all right, I'm done with that. What's next? What else is the block? And so I think because I'm learning how to do that for myself, I can learn how to do that for others. And I also think that that's this belief of why now is the right time for me to launch this nonprofit. Because I'll be honest, there is not a world in which I want to hold a community of 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 people, and I am responsible for all communications going out and all conversations starting and all. I really want it to be this organic, I just found my people that I want to do life with, and so I am scenario. And so there was a huge part too of me building on a new platform was going to be me having to figure out all of those platform norms and cultural norms for a community and force some of that. I mean, when you're starting something, some of it has to be forced. And I am perfectly okay with overwhelmed and over it growing as slowly as it needs to. And so when I sat down and gave myself permission to accept that is my reality and that's my North Star for how we're building this, I don't need to force a community. I don't need to force an event to happen right now. If they are meant to be as a part of this strategy and as a part of this plan, they will happen when they are supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm. And who is supposed to be in your community will find you because they already are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was another great point that I want to go back to quickly, because there's a lot of pressure in a business, in a nonprofit, to be on all of the channels, to have, to do TikTok dances, to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the places. And I've gotten caught up in it, and it just wears you down so quickly. When you start living life thinking of what would be great for an Instagram reel, there's a problem. Right. And so for you, you realized you have your community on LinkedIn. It's how we met. And so, yeah, focus there. People love you on there. They love your vulnerability. They love when you talk about kids. You're getting a lot of impressions and building communities. So why make it harder than it has to be? Great lesson.
Yeah, and I think I am not ignorant to the fact that there will come a time, if I want this to grow as big as I envision it, that it needs to be on Instagram, that it needs to be on Pinterest, that it needs to have a nicer website than the one I built on a Sunday night because my husband's post about a car went viral and we wanted to hurry up and get the landing page for the Cars and Coffee put together, right? Like, I am very well aware that there will come a time that that needs to happen. And that's when we have enough donations and funding that I can hire that out to the people who are experts in that area. And again, it's not me forcing it to climb up the hill and make it happen. Instead, it's me bringing along the right people who can support the mission. And that's something I had never done in business before. I very much held on to the control that I had to be the person. I had to figure it out. I had to learn how to do it. And then maybe I could hire it out, but only if I could tell that person whether what they were doing was right or wrong. And now it's like, I don't feel that grip on this so much. I really truly see that it's for other people and it's going to take other people to reach other people.
Yes. Wonderful. So what about the podcast?
You and I think have talked about this just because most business owners that have a podcast go round and round with, is it a business driver? Is it a good use of my resource, time, money, investment, whatever it may be? And listen, do not get me wrong when I say to you, I love cracking this microphone open and I love being on podcast. Love, love, love it. However, similarly to, I think, the Reddit conversation, the pressure to come up with the right topics that catch enough people's eye and our podcast is me and my entire family. So I'm asking a lot of everyone to be involved. And I'm not saying it's gone forever, but this season of it is going to be done because similarly, I come up with all of the topics. I do all of the recording. I coordinate everyone's schedules. I do all of the editing. I do all of the posting. I'm not there anymore. I don't want to be the one holding all of the keys. And I just think it's time. I've wrestled with it for 3 months because we record by season. And so I had recorded everything from January to end of March. And I hear all the time what we share is helpful, what we share is impactful, but what we share is not moving towards donations. It's not moving towards the things that we really want to bring to life for Overwhelmed and Over It. And I also, I'm in the tech industry professionally. And even for me, I'm spending a lot of time right now thinking about how being together in person has become the most difficult parts of our life. The scheduling, the coordinating, the cost, it's abnormal now to spend time together in person with people. So, you have to psych yourself up. I have a trip I have to go on next week for work. And I literally am like, oh my God, I'm going to be around people 4 days in a row. Like I have to mentally prepare myself for that. And that's sad for me. And when I think about what Overwhelmed and Over its ultimate goal is, which is to own family camp, where families come together in person and spend a week being together and taking care of things they need to take care of, focusing on building this, pouring all of my time and attention into a remote version of that to try and reach more people. I feel like it's almost like an oxymoron. And for anyone who has met Dom, he's never met a stranger. Everyone who meets him is his best friend. He is one of those people. I mean, I wish I had the quality that he has, which is he could have met you 6 years ago, and on Christmas, he's going to text you and just ask you like how you and your kids are doing. And I started thinking about that. Between he and I and the communities we have already built, we have everything we need to get started. And like you said, the people who are meant to be there will find us. So if we start with the people we already have in our circle and we already know, they will help bring their people, and then they will help bring their people, and then they will help bring their people. And my desire is not to run family camp 52 weeks out of the year. So I don't need 5,000 families who want to show up for family camp, right? And maybe one day we get to that point, but then that's maybe when I'm not the executive director anymore and someone else who wants that level of pressure is going to take on that. And so I really am focusing on, I am starting this, I am building this by what I believe it needs to be, and I will pivot as I learn, but I am not holding all of the keys to this kingdom. And when it is time to grow beyond what my initial vision is, it will. And I need to stop making decisions based on what you hear. Have a podcast and you make money, and have a website and you make money, and have an Instagram and you make. I need to stop listening to all of those things. And this is something that I truly feel like I need to trust my gut on.
Yes. Yes. I 1,000% agree. And it is so easy to get caught up in what other people are saying, other suggestions, but your intuition never steers you wrong. It's finding the time to get quiet and listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you've done that with support.
Mm-hmm. And I think that with support part's really important, right? Like I couldn't have gotten to this place without you and I defining what's the ultimate goal for this. I couldn't have gotten to this place without you and I defining what are the kind of key programs and key things we want to do. Because the core memory day is still going to happen, but it's going to happen in a year and a month from now, where I can spend the next 6 months planning the Cards and Coffee event. And then I have the time to turn around and plan the core memory day versus making it happen because I can scrap it together. And so, yeah, you need support. You need support outside of yourself to be able to come to some of those realizations, but you also need to know when to turn all that noise off and just trust this mission was put on my heart for a reason, and no one will ever understand this mission as well as I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Another pause there because it's so true. When you are mission driven, and you certainly are, and you are a thousand other things also, but you know this vision is coming to life, you're going to handle it with care, which means handling yourself with care.
So good.
I love this for you, Gabs. What advice? I mean, you've already given so much, like just sharing, but just sharing your truth and what's going on as you build this nonprofit. But is there any, like, last, as we wrap up here, any advice that you would give someone who is building this impact, maybe has started a nonprofit, maybe they already have their nonprofit and they're in the moment of scaling, but it's terrifying or it's overwhelming? That was a big question, but I think you get my point.
No, I'm with you. I think you said it best. Sit with yourself, right? Give yourself time and space to really think about, what do I really want? What is the true mission of this organization, and why does it really exist? And one of my favorite things about your work is that you talk about nonprofits are a business, because they are, and that means there is always a decision to be made. There is always more that you could be doing. There is always fear about, are we growing in the right way? Do we have enough money? Do we have enough resources? Do we have the right people, right? You're always going to have those moments. And I don't care if you're hosting your first event, just signing your incorporation papers, or you're getting ready to hire your next ED. Like, you're always going to have those feelings. And so I think, one, just being real with that. This is going to be hard. And there are going to be times where I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know if I made the right decision, but I know that I made the right decision based on the information that I had available at the time. And I think that that's the biggest piece, is particularly in today's world where it is so easy to learn how to launch a nonprofit or how to launch a business, and learn, I'll put that in big quotes, from all of these people around you. What that becomes is feeling like you're not doing enough, feeling like your nonprofit isn't making enough of a mission because the similar one has 10 times more donors than you do, or whatever it may be. But I am a really firm believer in everything happens as it's supposed to, when it's supposed to, who it's supposed to. For me, that is the biggest differentiator between the business and a nonprofit, is that nonprofit is meant to serve other people. And if you serve one, you've made your mission happen. If you've served 10,000, you've made the mission happen. And if you've served anywhere in between, you've made the mission happen.
I was just saying that earlier in the Telegram channel, right?
Oh, I haven't listened yet today.
Oh,
but yes, I have been.
Yes.
I've been listening, but I didn't get to today's because I came right from another meeting to this call.
But we're on the same page there. If you help one person, you've created impact. You've achieved your mission. And it doesn't need to be bigger than that. We are changing lives every single day. Just by doing what you do and being who you are. So thank you. Thank you for being you, Gabs.
Thank you for letting me be me.
Always. It is always a pleasure to chat with you. I don't even know what we're going to talk about next time in this series. It's going to be, who knows what's going to happen in the next couple months. And yeah, I'm really excited for your family boxes. I think that is such a great idea. When you were telling me about it during our strategy session, was like, wow, fun. Families need this. It'll be really fun.
And you'll appreciate this. It's actually a member of the village, which was my former community, who's going to be designing them, mailing them, shipping them. And so, like, she's a family that's part of our kind of crew. And so that's the even more fun part about it for me, is that, again, I'm not the one doing that. I'm just the one coming up with the ideas. But someone in the Overwhelmed and Over It family is getting to be supported also by this mission. Yes. And that is the funnest part, is seeing all of the people that I have been building these relationships with and that have become a part of my community and my people that I do life with. Now we're getting to do business things together. And that's really exciting, because I also know what that means to support the mission, because I am putting my money where my mouth is, and I am helping people parent differently by providing income to them as well, so that they can be with their kids, so that they cannot be so stressed, so that they have more time freedom or flexibility, whatever it is that they need. And so that feels really good to have that partnership going as well.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's wonderful. Because we do need that. Like, we can talk all day about, oh, more family time and do this and do that, but if you don't have the resources and the support, we need to be realistic about that. So you helping and having those partnerships and collaborations is just another way that you are creating impact with your nonprofit. So good.
Yay. It's so good.
Thank you for joining me today, Gabs. And everyone, we will see you next time on The Rich Nonprofit, and we'll find out more about how Gab's nonprofit is going. We'll see you next time.